Boom, boom, boom.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, fight fans of all ages? We are here with another episode of No Filter, the MMAnomaly show. This time I have my guy, Tien, aka Crude Analysis, or one half of Crude Analysis.
Thank you. Hey, very, very excited to be here. Well, you know, it's been a long time coming. I know we've talked about this. Heck, I'm pretty sure we've had parties where we've connected, where we try to do drunken podcasts to see if we can get this going. So I'm honestly excited, brother. I'm excited. Thank you for getting me on here. And like you said, Jordan's missing right here, but the 1 and 2 of Crude Analysis, we're excited to be on, man. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, brother. And make sure you guys drop a follow on Twitter for Crude Analysis. They are 100% the homies, ride or dies. Yes, and just jumping right into this, we are going to be talking about UFC Vegas 67. It is a banger of a card. We've had numerous fights fall off of it already, but lo and behold, it's still got some sleepers on it, baby. And we're not going to drag you through the mud. We're not going to go through the whole entire card today, but we are going to go ahead and go through what I think probably going to be 3 of the best fights on the card.
Yeah,
so,
totally agree
without further ado,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, brother. Jump right in.
I totally agree. I mean, you know, first off, I'm so excited to kind of see it from this side as well. I mean, you know, very first fight of the year, you know, and we have potential bangers that are coming right off. And I mean, you know, I think one of the best things that I've seen in the past, I would say a couple years, it seems like it's just going to continue to roll. So I'm hoping, you know, great fights coming right after this, but it's great. We have some bangers coming in.
100%. So, I mean, we'll go ahead and start at the top and we'll work our way down. Obviously, we can't not talk about the main event here, right? Obviously, the elephant in the room is the fact that it's not the original main event we had. Mm-hmm. Jeff Neal versus Shavkat Rakhmonov would have been just a slobber knocker of a freaking start to the year, right?
Part of my filter, Olin, I think it would have been a wet dream more than less, right? You know,
it would have been a wet dream. That would have been a great fucking fight. And it also would have answered a lot of questions about Shavkat. Like, he's such a good fighter, but how does he do whenever he's fighting someone whose nickname is literally Hands of Steel? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, that guy, he has hands of steel. He's a beast. His hands are so heavy. He's got lead in his gloves when he's throwing. And when he hits people, like Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens says, they don't fucking move. When I put them down, they don't fucking move. So I would have loved to have seen that fight. Before we jump into the 3 fights that we are talking about, how would you have seen that fight going?
See, I thought about this. I've thought about this for a minute. So, you know, we kind of talked about this on the side, you know, outside of this, Olin, but you know, we were talking about potential studs or stars that we've seen coming in this upcoming year here. And I've seen Shavkat fight before. This guy is a monster, bro. He is a monster. I mean, I really do think, and this is me being biased on this side, but anyone from Kazakhstan just seems like they got MMA, UFC, whatever in their blood. It just seems like it imbues out of them, you know? And this guy, I mean, from top down, bro, from wrestling to being on the bottom, I mean, he can do it all. I mean, him fighting in the past, destroying Neil Magny. And I thought Neil Magny was one of my favorite fighters, you know, at least seasoned fighters still fighting in the game. Him destroying Neil Magny, killing Alex Oliveira. I mean, he had opportunities throughout
He made it look so easy against Alex Oliveira.
It was insane. It was insane. And it's, you know, the crazy thing is, if you look at his fights, Brody, every single one of those was a knockout. Or not knockout, I'm sorry, either a knockout or submission, right? Or like if you see it from that side, I mean, the only way you can almost see it is just like, you got to take him, right? But then on the other side, on the counter of that, Brody, like you were saying, Geoff Neal, bro, I knew he was a star. I knew he was a stud. Even when he fought Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson to me was one of those like seasoned guys that it just for some reason seems like if you're not on top of your game, this guy can outbox you, no problem, right? He would just get out of your way and just be able to move. But man, when he fought Vicente Luque, and I thought Luque was like one of those guys, you know,
man,
bro. He takes you down, you're done. You're done. Yeah. Good luck, you know. Good luck getting it up.
Not today.
Those hands, brother, like you said, and you know, like even you taught me this, man. It only takes a second to light someone down, right?
That's all it takes. It takes you making one mistake and me seeing it.
Just like your background, bro. Geoff Neal had those freaking hands of freaking bricks, bro. If he just got that one hand, bro, just done, right? So I can also see it from that side. But I mean, again, seeing it from like the fan base or seeing it from the fan side, I never really had a chance to see it in the ring or actually seen it through actual physical combat the way you've seen it. So just out of curiosity, and when you see it that way, right, you have two guys that are going from the opposite way. You have one guy that has obviously hands of steel, right?
Sure.
How would a guy like Shavkat be able to avoid that and still be able to dominate in his game, right? And you see from his knockouts and also submissions, like, he's great wherever. So I'm just kind of curious from your perspective, would he still be able to have that opportunity with Jeff Neal?
So here's the thing. I think it would have been a really, really fun fight. I will say, Shavkat he's undefeated in his professional mixed martial arts career, 16-0. He has 2 losses in amateur, and they were both decision losses, and they were only 2-round fights. So that tells me if he's not able to finish somebody, maybe if he goes out, he puts too much pressure on early on, he has a possibility of gassing himself out or leaving openings for somebody else to succeed. And then on the flip side of things, if you look at Jeff Neal's record, obviously he's got 4 losses professionally, 15 wins. Of those 4 losses, only 2 times has he been finished. And even if you go to his amateur career, which he went, let's see, 7-1, I believe.
7-1? Yeah.
Yeah, 7-1, and again, never finished. So he's only lost 3 decisions in his entire career, amateur and pro. He's only been finished twice. And if you look at who finished him, like, you had Kevin Holland who TKO'd him. Like, who the fuck? Who the fuck wouldn't get knocked out by Kev? Come on, dude. Like, the only thing bigger than that kid's mouth are his freaking hands. All right. So,
I love that, brother. That's dang true.
So, like, I mean, true. What are you gonna do? You can't be mad at that, right? So I think if I had, like, if you put a gun to my head and you're like, you have to bet on one of these guys, Joff or Shavkat, realistically, man, it's hard, right? But I have to bet on Shavkat just because if you look at the most recent losses of Jeff Neal, there were 2 decisions to Stephen Thompson and Neil Magny. Shavkat just beat Neil Magny. I know MMA math doesn't fucking work, all right? But if Neil Magny can get one over on Jeff and control him, what's Shavkat going to do to him in a clinch? What's 100%. Shavkat going to do to him when he gets on top of him?
100%.
And if Stephen Thompson is able to outpoint you on the feet, what happens if you have someone that knows how to utilize their range, has decent striking, but also you add in that thick ass onion layer of wrestling and grappling and tie clinching? It makes for a really long night for Jeff Neal, in my opinion.
Yes, and I can't agree more with you. I think there's so many parameters when it comes to play. And even when you kind of talk about, obviously MMA math not really working like that, right? You almost got to counter in with that idea that, like, there's a reason why they're that good, right? Or there's a reason why they were able to do that. Even if you say, any given Sunday, a guy can come in not looking, or a guy or girl can come in not looking fresh, not looking sharp where they should be. Mm-hmm. They're still an MMA fighter, so you got to think their energy or their level is still extremely high. So in that counter, like you said, Shavkat coming in there and actually dominating Neil Magny the way he did, he made it look easy, bro. He really did.
He really did.
Even in the first round, it looked like he was really willing him, and in the second one, it was like, all right, let me just get you. I mean, he looked good. So I'm kind of scared in that way. I mean, I do find it hard because, again, coming from the fan analysis of it, it's almost like, you're always going to try to cheer for those guys that you really, really like.
Sure.
And I'm a big fan of Neil Magny, but, man, when you think about those names that are sleeping under the ropes, brother, and it's guys and girls that just, they're misrepresented because they are slowly getting those big fights. But I think bigger names have been taking over those fights, or not even taking over the fights, but taking over the fame of these potential fights. So they're never really getting thrown great opportunities like this guy Shavkat. I mean, before Neil Magny was fighting Carlson Harris, I'm sure those are really great names, but like Jeff Neal was fighting studs all up and down,
Absolutely.
Like you said, Stephen Thompson, Mike Perry fought Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah. And Shavkat, not so much. Right now, dude, Bilal's a beast.
You right? I'm glad you agree with that. Like he has that insane skyrocket rise right now. So for him to be able to beat him in the past, and I'm like we were saying, MMA math not working that way. Still, for you to be able to beat him in the past, it almost makes me feel like you have skill to be able to dominate like that, if provided, a fight like that. So Shavkat, I think, coming into play. I mean, let me ask you this then. What would be the way that they would win? Like, what would either fighter win by? I
think Geoff Neal would have to win by TKO. He'd have to do it within the first round and a half, maybe 2 rounds. And I think Shavkat wins that fight any way he wants to. I mean, I think he can get the TKO. I think he can get a quick guillotine from Geoff, like getting rocked on the feet, and then just trying to like being frustrated and shooting for a takedown. And then I also could see him just honestly like getting a very dominant decision win over him across 5 rounds.
Yeah,
especially because it was a main event, right? So it was scheduled for 5 rounds, which, in my opinion, that favors Shavkat. Mm-hmm. We've seen Geoff fade in 5-round fights or in main event fights. So, I think that's definitely the way that fight would end up going.
Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, I think the scary part when it kind of comes to Neal, at least in my opinion, is that he has so much muscle.
Yeah,
and I feel like, you know what I mean, bro? Like, sooner
he's built like a fucking Ninja Turtle, bro.
You see these guys that are extremely chiseled, like they look so good, and like, okay, yeah, the first couple rounds, I'm sure you're willing and dealing, but over time, that muscle has to just slowly start to build down on you, where you can't.
Oh, dude, 100%.
You know what I mean, bro? You can't even do anything anymore. And if they're hitting you at the right points, like, if someone's hitting your biceps and stuff, sooner or later, even though you're big, it's gonna be hurting. It's gonna start.
It doesn't feel good. No, absolutely.
So yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, again, that's a shame that we didn't get a chance to see that as the first fight. But we still have some pretty solid fights, I would say, within the lineup of it. We were saying with was it Nasruddin and
Nasruddin Imavov and Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin the Gas Tank Gastelum. Man.
And
what a fight.
You know what? That's going to be an insane fight to me.
That's going to be a great fight.
I think Imavov, and I'm sorry to chop his name if I am, but Imavov, I've seen him fight a few times before, bro, and he's good, man. I mean, and if he ever listens to us, I do feel bad because I have bet the opposite side. Buckley, I'm a fan of Buckley, so I looked at Buckley when I had seen him. It's like I'm clearly think he's gonna get that knockout. He got worked. He got worked. Edmund, I think we have talked about him before as well.
Absolutely,
he's an absolute buck as well. He's just a star in the game as well. I mean, just a name that I feel like was, kind of thrown into a lot of great fighters before he kind of got a chance to really grow in it. He lost to Jack Hermanson. I mean, Derek Brunson's almost a Nurmagomedov, I think, at that point. The way he takes people down and holds them down, right? Like,
absolutely. Only blonde Brunson though.
Yeah.
Only blonde Brunson. He's never been that good before he was blonde.
That's what people say as well. That's what
I'm telling you.
Well. I think he turned Super Saiyan, Brody. I think
it's like C-level Cain Velasquez and salon quality Dustin Poirier. He's one of the great meme fighters of our day, Tien. Salon quality Dustin Poirier is a fucking legend. Okay, when he was bald, he was not knocking people out like that. He was a beast. He put on exciting fights. He was one of my favorite fighters. He still is. Bro, when he hit that salon quality swoop, motherfucker was like, check it out. Watch this swagger, and when you wake up, I'll buy you a beer. He's out here putting fools to sleep.
He went to the closest Clipper shop, bro, and said, you know what? Let me get a quick little lineup, and I'm good to go.
Brother went to Supercuts, and they're like, we're about to change your life.
He said, I just want to knock people out. They're like, don't worry, we're gonna fade you up, brother, so you can.
They're all, what can we do for you? He's all, I'm looking to take people's heads off. They're like, say no more, fam. Welcome to Fantastic Sam's.
Welcome to Fantastic Sam's. But hey, so what I did want to bring up to you about this fight, Kelvin. The last couple times I've seen him, man, he just has not looked. He's
not looked great.
You know what I'm saying, bro? And I'm not here to put any kind of shame on weight and how they kind of look, bro. When he fought Israel Adesanya, he was lean into the tone. He looked great. But
he was a beast. But that's the kind of fight that takes a lot from you too. Since that fight, he's 4-1. Or sorry, he's 1-4. My bad. Since that fight, he's literally lost 4 fights out of 5.
Wow.
And I mean, that's what they say is like when you have a fight like that, it takes years off your chin, right? Like I'm a firm believer that the chin is kind of like a gallon of milk, brother. There's an expiration date. And you know, like when you take the milk out to make coffee and you're half asleep, so you forget to put the milk back in the fridge for like 30 fucking minutes. That took a day off of the expiration date because you left it out a little bit longer, right?
That is
so the equivalent to that is somebody eating fucking shots or unnecessary damage. In that fight, the guy who won the fight is coming into the last round saying, I'm prepared to die. What does that tell you about the amount of damage that the guy who lost the fight took? Okay, so he takes this just god-awful amount of damage, and then in his next 5 fights, he gets Darren Till, who beats him. He gets Jack Hermanson, who beats him in the first round via heel hook. He gets a win over Ian Heinisch, which is a solid win. Ian Heinisch is
pretty
a beast.
Solid. Yeah, right. He's pretty
and
good.
Then he loses to Robert Whittaker. No shame in that. Robert Whittaker's probably going to be holding the belt by the end of the year, in my opinion.
I think so as well, brother. I think
and
so.
then he lost to Jared Cannonier. So, again, like, no shame in that. But at the same time, if you look at his only win since that Israel Adesanya fight, it's against Ian Heinisch. Ian Heinisch's last 2 fights were against Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin got him by decision. And then after that, he fought, guess who? Nasruddin Imavov, who beat him via TKO in less than 2 full rounds. So if we're looking at that stat alone, both of you guys have a win over this guy. One guy, you were able to, beat him in a unanimous decision over 15 minutes. The other guy was able to finish him after dominating him for the most part. So you look at that, and then you also compare that to Nasruddin's kind of his last 6 fights. You got Joaquin Buckley, unanimous decision. Edmund Shabazian, TKO. Ian Heinisch, TKO. A loss to Phil Hawes. Again, no shame in losing to Phil Hawes. Guy's a fucking beast. Yeah. And then he beat Jordan Williams. He beat a few other folks that are outside of the UFC before that. Like, realistically, before that loss to Phil Hawes, he hadn't lost since 2017.
Right.
And he only, for the most part, loses decisions. Kelvin Gastelum, he's a good fighter. I call him Kelvin the Gas Tank Gastelum because I think his gas tank is suspect. Like, it's like it's kind of like when you call like the guy who weighs 300 pounds, has a shit ton of steroids, tiny. Like, it's ironic. So I don't really think he has an incredible gas tank by any means. He loses this fight. I mean, and looking at the stats on screen here, like, again, you've got Nasruddin Imavov in red. You got Kelvin Gastelum in blue. Now, looking at the UFC fight outcomes, obviously Kelvin has way more wins. He also has way more losses. Okay, if you look at the ratio there, 11-8 to 4-1.
Wow.
Come on. I'll take the 4-1 guy. He's been in the UFC years less than Kelvin Gastelum. Same thing with control statistics. Like, if you look at the control statistics, distance, you got Kelvin Gastelum. Sure, he's a great striker. I think he has very underrated boxing. Pocket boxing is really nice. And then if you look at their clinch work, their control, everywhere else for the most part, Imavov just dominates.
Dominating. Right.
Yeah. And then same thing if you look at like the detailed fight outcomes, right? Like round 1 finishes, Kelvin Gastelum. Again, that's why I call him the gas tank, right? Like, he wants to take you out early.
Right away.
He does not want to wait. And then round 2 finishes. That's where you have Imavov coming in, right? Imavov is more of a calculated striker, a calculated finisher. He likes to take his time. He likes to kind of drown you in the deep water a little bit before he really goes for the finish and sinks his teeth into dessert. So like he really wants to make sure, like, hey, if I'm going to throw up an attempt for a submission, I have a very good chance of succeeding in getting this submission. I think Imavov ends up taking this one, and I'm really confident in it. I think he takes it pretty much anywhere the fight goes. The only thing that worries me is Kelvin Gastelum does actually have decent knockout power. I mean, he got the TKO over Tim Kennedy. He got the TKO over Nate Marquardt. And his submission game isn't bad either. Like, he's got the RNC over Jake Ellenberger. Brian Melancon, he got with a rear naked choke. Again, like, he's able to finish the fight in a lot of different ways. He KO'd Michael Bisping, but I don't think that one counts. He shouldn't have been in that fight.
Right.
Yeah. But again, I feel like if Nasruddin fights his fight and he does not let Kelvin Gastelum basically dictate where the fight is taking place, it's Imovov's fight to lose.
And you know what? I agree with all that. I mean, I think first off, as soon as I kind of thought about the fight, first thing I kind of thought right away was Kelvin Gastelum and how he looked in his last couple fights. Because I've seen Imavov, and he's a beast, bro. He is really a beast. But I've also seen Kelvin in the last couple fights, and it sucks, man, because when you look at his history, though, he's fought stars on stars, all the way down. I mean, he's fought Tyron Woodley, fought Johnny Hendricks, fought Tim Kennedy, Vitor, this guy's had names on names. It's unfortunate because it just seems like, he's always fighting, which is kind of the positive of being within that type of fighting anyway. It's like, I want to fight the stars. I want to fight the best of the best. The only unfortunate thing is sometimes you're really getting thrown to the lions without really even thinking about it. And I feel like this is one of those situations, man. I mean, I think Imavov right now is one of those guys you do not want to mess with, bro. I mean, he looked like he was dominating throughout every single one of his fights. Like you said, even the Phil Hawes fight. Phil Hawes and Joaquin Buckley, I think Phil Hawes is better than Joaquin Buckley, but they're the same type of guys where you got to be careful about that swing, right? Like you got to be almost humble about man, they have that one right swing, and if you got to be careful about that. And I think when he fought Phil Hawes, I think he was more scared about it. And when he fought Joaquin Buckley, he was more sharp now. He realized what he was really dealing with. And if I was to look at the decision, I'm sure he had some type of writing time within it. I'm sure he had some type of control time, because I think he could do that. If not, I mean, I think he could just control it through boxing. And that's the thing, too, is that I think Imavov has, to me, at least, it seems like a lot more sharper boxing right now. But again, I think it's because Kelvin's still young, too, bro. He's only 31.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. But then you see, we were discussing, you see his fight history. And for him to go through Israel, then Darren Till, then Jack, that's insane, man. And then you get Ian, and like you said, Ian, I think when he had fought Ian, he was taking him down. He had a lot of control time.
Oh, yeah.
So when it comes to situations where man, dude, maybe you should have tried that in some of your other fights, maybe that would have helped out. But then you also get those fighters that know what they're doing when you get it to the ground, just like Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
So then it's, you know what I mean? It becomes an issue where you can't just do the same old tactics that you did from the previous fight. So I think with this one, what makes it hard is that he can't do anything he did with Jared Cannonier, Robert Whittaker, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe Robert. Jared has that type of swing too, but Imavov, I've seen him clean dudes recently.
Yeah. And that's the thing is he's young. So he's still developing his strength and power. He's a beast like that.
27 and he's sharp at 22. He's barely about to turn 28 in a couple months.
And just to kind of caveat to what you said about Phil Hawes versus Joaquin Buckley, the difference between those guys, and this might sound extremely ignorant on my behalf. This is just the way that I see it. I feel like Phil Hawes, like you said, is a better fighter than Joaquin Buckley. The reason Joaquin has done better in his UFC run, I think Joaquin has a quicker reaction time. When he sees things, his brain processes things faster. He's able to react very, very quickly. But skill-wise, skill for skill, pound for pound, position for position, and just general fight IQ, I think Phil Hawes is leaps and bounds ahead of him. I just think it's a physicality thing. I feel like some people, pilots in the military, you're flying 650, 700 miles an hour. You see things differently than I do. If you didn't, you wouldn't be able to do that. So, your brain is able to process quicker.
Yeah.
So I feel like Joaquin Buckley, in a past life, he was a fucking fighter pilot. Just the way that his brain is able to process things at such a fast pace, that kick catch that he was able to jump, spin back, and make knockout of the year off of.
I'm sorry to interrupt, brother, but he's a stem of Captain America, ain't he? He just has that sharpness, bro.
I swear, he's got just such a
real
quick brain.
Person, just and it's insane. It's insane. Yeah. But I'm sorry to interrupt. You were saying
no, you're good.
With Phil Hawes, though.
Phil Hawes, he just he has a better ability to get at bad situations. I feel like if you put them both in the same bad situation, Phil Hawes has more genuine knowledge as to how to get out of that situation. He'll come up with 3 different escapes. Whereas Joaquin Buckley won't have to, because the second you get him in that situation, before you even lock it in, right? Like if you're trying to get into full mount before you get that second leg over, he's already fucking like escaping, throwing up butterflies. He's just so quick on the draw. So I think like he uses that to his utmost advantage, and I think that's why he's had such a great career so far. But yeah, going back to the actual fight, it sounds like we're both in agreement that Kelvin hopefully packed a lunch because it's going to be a long night.
Let me ask you before we jump away from that. How do you see it? Like as we were determining before, how do you see it kind of ending? At least with this fight. So for me, if I can give you my analysis first, I see it two ways, man. I see it two ways. This is me being a fan side of Kelvin, man. I'm gonna give him a little shoe in. All right, I'm gonna give him a shot. You know, one thing about Kelvin that we have seen, like we were talking about before, is his gas tank, right? One thing that I will say is in his last fights, bro, if you notice, damn near every one of those is decision. So if it is coming to a gas tank, at least we can trust in his past history that, man, this guy can at least keep it up.
Hold on, not to interrupt, but do we know, because this was originally the co-main event, is this now 5 rounds?
Ooh, I think it is.
Because if it's 5 rounds,
I think it is, bro. I
don't know, dude. Oh, look at Jalen in the chat.
Is Jalen in the chat?
Thank you, Jalen. You're a handsome young man as well.
Woo, there he is, my boy Jay, man. Jay, we throw you in an arm bar and a heart hold right here, bro. We've been waiting.
Put him in the guillotine.
Yes, sir. Hey, Jay, hey, don't chime in. Chime in anytime if you want to throw in some comments, man. We're just talking about some of these predictions. We appreciate you jumping in, man.
Jalen, let us know who you got, Kelvin Gastelum or Nasruddin Imavov.
Yeah. So I'll give you my analysis. I'll give you my analysis as Jalen's going to bring it up here. So
let's go.
I see it two ways, man. So if it does become a 5-round fight, right? I mean, like we said before, I see Kelvin, my man, right? There it is, the odds breaker. There he is, Jay. So let me say. So the thing with Kelvin is that at least we know within his last histories of his fights, he has a gas tank. He is at least able to do it, depending on how it looks. Looks aren't pretty sometimes, right? But if he's able to play his game, man, and if he's able to like actually take him down, because I know he can at least be able to do that, or at least be able to have a couple swings in there, bro, where it scares Imov to the potential chance of him, taking him down. I think it would be a pretty solid fight. So if that happens, bro, I could see Kelvin doing a decision, right?
Okay.
But
so you think Kelvin wrestles Imavov?
I think Kelvin wrestles Imavov. I really do.
I did not have that on my 2023 bingo card.
Listen. Hear me out. The only reason why, brother, I'm telling you, the only reason why is like we were saying, Kelvin does have some knuckles. I think if he has a couple swings, think about Imavov, bro. Imavov has fought some studs too, though. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe he hasn't had that one swing on him yet. And I feel like it can be any given Sunday where you get that one punch where you're like, oh shit, let me back up a little bit, bro, because I don't want to go in again. And it's only that one little like second of like second guessing that you're giving to a guy like Kelvin. Now he's potentially taking you down. If he takes him down, bro, I can see him just holding him down and literally just trying to get him on and just head down, just trying to swing on him 2-3 minutes here or something like that every couple rounds. And Imavov, the only thing about Imavov that I would say is the opposite. There's no 5-round fights because he hasn't fought a 5-round fight yet. So if it's potential 5-round, again, this is all just on opportunity being 5-round. If it is, then I could see Kelvin getting on there. Get him on the board, Jay. Get him on the board. But I just again, if
hey, thanks for dropping in, Jalen. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. You know what though? Only if you were to tell me in terms of logic though, what's gonna happen? Even if it's a 5-round, man, I think a guy like Imavov could just knock him out. I really do. I mean, if you see his fights though, bro, the last couple fights, and Kelvin's chin, like you said,
he's a bit chinny.
It really is as rusty as it is. And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Even in that Ian fight, I'm about certain he got hit a couple times where like. It like dozed him a little.
Oh, dude, Ian Heinisch, when he hit him, he had his knees. Like when you're like 6 years old and you really got to pee, what your knees do. They're like, no. he had him doing the pee dance, bro. Like facts.
Really? See?
A couple times. It looked like his knees were going in.
And like if that happens,
but Ian's not a schlub, so like you can't take that away. Like Ian's a beast. He's got hands.
But no hit on Ian. But like what I was saying is that because out of his last 5 fights, he's only won once, and it's that Ian fight. I think even with him getting those punches and us being able to analyze that fight and being able to see that, okay, yeah, you know what, he's a little chinny. Now you're fighting a guy that is known to knock chins off. Now this is kind of scary, right? Because now if we look at Imavov's last fights, man, bro, decision, TKO elbows?
And then TKO punches.
And then TKO punches, bro? Like, do you know how strong you got to be able to just knock a dude like that? And now you're fighting a guy, like we were saying, that is a bit chinny now, man. He's fought Israel that, like you said, going into the 5th round, Israel saying, I'm ready to die in the round. Like, bro, you have a guy like that, then you go to Darren Till, right? And Darren Till is probably giving him a little bit of damage in there. Then Jack. And Jack, each one of these fights, it's like one of those where I'm like, I don't see a problem with you losing. It just sucks that you had to lose, right? Like, Jack Hermanson is a pretty damn good fighter, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Knockdowns, takedowns. I mean, he could do it all. And then Ian, like you said, he's great too. And then Robert, it's a damn hard one to lose. You know, and Jared really had a chance to just win the championship if he beat Israel. So he was right there too, you know? So I mean, man, it's crazy, bro. Like, I could see it going either way, but like you said, you know, I'm just kind of curious. Do you see it kind of going more towards the Imavov route where
I do. I think Imavov, like, if I'm 70-30, I think 70% chance Imavov wins. Like, if you run this fight 10 times, Imavov probably wins it 7 out of 10 times. The other 3 times, Kelvin Gastelum gets lucky and knocks him out in the 1st or 2nd round, like early in the 1st, early in the 2nd. Kelvin Gastelum is really, really good at coming off the stool, being warmed up, being ready to just throw in big shots. And like from the start of the fight to the end of the fight, when he is throwing, like he's throwing with bad intentions. Like you saw Israel Adesanya's face. Izzy looked more fucked up at the end of that fight than he looked at the end of the fight against Alex Pereira. 100%. And that's a fact. That's cold, hard facts. And he also lost more rounds in that fight against Kelvin Gastelum than he did against Alex Pereira. Those are also facts. So Kelvin has that dog in him, but dogs get old and they get tired. And I don't know how active that dog in him still is. So we'll see, man. We'll see. So we will go ahead and jump into the next fight here. This one, I think, is even more of kind of a mind fuck of a fight here. We have Mr. Dan 50K Ige going up against Damon Action Jackson. Action Jackson might be one of the coolest nicknames of all time, just because fucking it's Action Jackson. That's sick. It's Action freaking Jackson, dude. Come on. So I'm gonna start with you on this one. I'd love to hear, like, just general thoughts. How do you see this fight going? Who do you like?
Like we were saying before, Brody, these are wet dream fights to me, man. I don't know why, but I've liked both these fighters for so damn long, bro. Like, these are star fighters to me, man. Dan Ige, man, bro. I remember when he fought. And I'm going back. I know it was a solid one. It was Edson Barboza. I think he should have lost that one, to be honest. But Calvin Kattar, when he fought Calvin Kattar, bro, that was a freaking swing fest. And that's when I was like, dude, this guy Dan is actually pretty damn nice. Like,
he throws lead.
He got some lead in on him, bro. And bro, like, if you were to just compare both these fighters, I mean, it's kind of hard, man, because Damon Jackson is actually a stud too. This guy is a stud.
He's one of those guys that nobody wants to fight.
And it's insane. And it's insane, bro, because it's like one of those God, what's his name, man? You know this seasoned legend fighter. I'm kind of going out of a random, but he has long hair. He burps. That's the only thing.
Clay Guida.
Clay Guida. Thank you. Clay Guida.
His coach slaps the fuck out of him.
Bro, slapping him. Bro, give him a CTE before he even gets in there, right?
Bro. Like, bro. He's all, if you don't get knocked out by this, that guy can't fucking hurt you. Bro. The coach always looking like, what the big guy who like oils him up? It's hella funny.
He's like, no, he's a good. Bro, so Clay Guida, right?
Yeah.
A guy like Clay Guida, 10 years ago, you would not want to see. Even now, bro, he's one of those dudes where it's like, bro, you'll lose off of decision time because this guy will.
And it's even worse to fight Clay Guida now because, like, back in the day, it's at least like, oh, dude, You lost to Clay the Carpenter Guida. Tough. I mean, but he's good. Now it's like you lost to that old guy.
Right.
He's been in the UFC for 32 years.
Right. That's the sad thing.
He turned wine to water or water to wine. That guy. He's Jesus.
Bro, he's Jesus. He is Jesus. Bro, and a guy like Clay Guida, the reason why I brought him up is that him being seasoned right now, he's still a dangerous man to fight.
Absolutely.
Clock in Dame. I'm not saying Damon Jackson's that old, but he is 34. He's kind of in the midst of his 30s now, and
I would say he's entering or like in the midst of his fight prime.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Because I feel
the
like
brain is catching up to the body right now.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I feel like as you get closer to 40, I don't know. For me, maybe boxing's different. You see a lot of boxers just going forever, but I feel like when it comes to UFC, they're gotta get to that point where it's just like, okay, like you said, the brain is slowly starting to catch up to the body. Now you're getting sore. You're getting so sore every single fight, every single training.
Your body is slowing down. Your brain is getting more efficient. So I feel like age 32 to 36 is where they kind of meet, and you find that mid ground, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm firing on all cylinders now.
And that's it's the crazy thing is like, this guy, Damian, the reason why I don't want to knock him off of that is that he is still in his prime to me in that era, right? Because looking at the fights that he had, bro, the only fight he lost, bro, in the last 7 fights, let's say that. No, 6 fights since he's made it to the UFC.
Since he's joined the UFC, he has one loss.
Ilia Topuria.
Yeah.
And brother,
for those of you not watching, go ahead and I'll excuse it. Go step away from this video. Go look up a highlight reel of Ilia Topuria.
Oh my god!
And like tell me that's a knock on Damon Jackson. It's not. It's really not.
It's crazy. Can I say that the only one of the fights I was just like, all right, this dude is insane. Was it Jai Herbert?
Yep.
Bro, when he said,
didn't he go up in weight class for that fight too? That's not his weight class.
Bro, he went up a weight class.
Yeah, he took that fight, I believe, on short notice and went up in weight to fight. That was like he killed Jai Herbert. He sent him to the Shadow Realm.
Bro, he sent this fucker to the moon, bro. To the moon. Yeah. So
rumor has it there's still a part of that guy in the octagon. Part of his soul died there that day.
Bro, he quit fighting, bro. He quit fighting. He said,
rumor has it when you're walking through the O2 Arena in London, if you put your ears out and you listen real carefully, you can still hear that thud of Jai Herbert hitting the fucking mat.
I totally forgot this was in his home country.
It was so bad,
silent.
And like, I don't know about you, but I love like Michael Bisping, Nick Pete, Adam Catterall, the guys from BT Sport. I watch their podcast whenever they're doing like the coverage, and they were all super high on Jai Herbert. And Nick Pete's a big fan. He's like, Jai Herbert, he's gonna go in there, and he's like super high on him. And then I'm like, I don't know, dude. Ilia's a beast. And then like they kept harping on the fact that he's going up in weight to fight Jai Herbert. And I'm like, oh, that is a pretty good point. He's going to be really small. Whoa. Then you see him at weigh-ins and you're like, shit, he's really small compared to Jai. Yeah. And he's like fucking like throwing upward hooks. And good Lord, I think it was a body head or a head head that he ended up catching him with. I just remember like the hairs on the back of my neck standing straight up. And just being so fucking excited to see the replay in slow motion of that combo.
Yes, bro. And those type of fights, it's crazy. I think, I may have had the over on that. I think I was probably sad about that. I'm not going to lie to you. But, hey, on those type of fights, it's so crazy to me because it comes to show you that it's like those fighters that you may not get a chance to research as often because they're just... They're not really in your vicinity. You don't ever get a chance to watch them. They're
not front and center. Like unless you're like a diehard guy that's looking up stats, looking at like watching every single fight on the undercard, like this guy. Like you don't see these guys.
And a guy like Ilia, right? And I'll bring it back to Brody is like a guy like Ilia. He's fought 2 times every year, literally in the last like 3 years. So like if you're gonna not watch one fight, you're gonna miss him, brother, for at least 6 months, right? That makes it tough. Now, if you talk about a guy like Damon Jackson, bro, this dude has fought 3 times in the last year.
Yeah.
So you know that he's ready. Like I want fights. And based off of that one loss by Ilia, bro, he's trying to get right back into it. He's fought Charles Rosa. Charles Rosa is a beast. Dan Argueta, I've seen him, and then Pat.
He's a beast. He was that's one of our boy Ian's friends. Ian from the MMA group chat.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they trained together.
Bro, Dan's a beast. I remember.
Yeah, Dan the man. He was on Tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a beast, and Damon. Like, I don't want to be a dick, but Damon, he dismantled him, bro. Like he made it look not easy, but it didn't look hard for him. Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you look at, just kind of jumping back to Ilia Topuria for a second here, like, if you look at his like quickest knockouts, right? It was over Damon Jackson, Ryan Hall, and Bryce Mitchell, right? Or I mean, Jai Herbert too, but I feel like Jai Herbert, he knew he was going to be able to get away with striking with guy. He didn't have to worry about the submission threat. You're talking about somebody that went out there and, he submitted Bryce Mitchell, right? Got him in an arm triangle choke. But for Ryan Hall, I think Ryan Hall's a better jiu-jitsu fighter than Bryce Mitchell. And he knocked him out in 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Damon Jackson, he knocked him out in 2 minutes and 38 seconds. That tells me that Ilia was like, all right, this guy is a fucking, like, an octopus. He's going to wrap his limbs around me and it's not going to be fun. I need to knock him the fuck out. And that's what happened. So good for Ilia. He got it done. But I mean, for that to be the only knock on like the entirety of Damon Jackson's UFC career. And then if you look even before that, bro, like, I don't know if you've ever been into PFL. Shout out Jake Paul signing with the PFL here.
Yes, sir.
That's going to make some big waves, but we won't jump into that yet. But his only loss before that, like in the last like fucking 5 years, was the flying knee, like highlight knockout from Movlid Khabilov from PFL. So, I mean,
and he's 19-0. I'm sorry, brother.
That's what I'm saying.
That guy's 19-0. Holy
That's
shit.
what I'm saying, bro. Like, I was gonna say, I don't know if you've ever seen, but like the guy's nickname is literally Killer. Like,
bro, this dude's name is Killer.
Killer Khabilov. So like, he's a fucking beast. He literally, he won the million. He won the million. He beat Chris Wade to win the million this year.
He beat Chris Wade. Whoa.
So that's the thing. Chris Wade's a fucking stud. So yeah, I mean, like, with all that being said about Damon Jackson, he's about that action. Who do you think he ends up getting it done over 50K Ige?
Okay, so before we rock on that, bro, I'm sorry, but we do got to talk about Dan Ige too.
That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about Damon Jackson, man. You got to bring up Dan Ige. Dan Ige is fucking beast, bro. He's fucking fought stars. Josh Emmett is a beast. I don't care what anyone says, man. This guy, like, bro, he goes in there and he dominates. Bro, when he beat Shane Burgos, that's when I knew, because
that was a good fight.
Shane Burgos is like, what, again, you know, being just one of those fan type of martial arts. I see it from that perspective. I'm like, dude, I fucking love Shane Burgos, bro. Fucking love Shane Burgos.
Hurricane Shane.
He came in there, bro, and he dominated. I remember he dominated Josh Emmett in the first round. But then Josh Emmett came back and just started rocking his shit, bro. The second round, the third round, just rocking him. So Josh Emmett, to me, is a great, like, not a great loss, but like an okay loss. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. I understand that loss. Mazvar Evlov, this dude's insane. 16-0. I mean, come on, bro. This guy's also insane. He fought Hakeem. He fought Hakeem Dawodu. Damn, bro. Yeah, this dude's a starter. And he fought Sung Woo Choi. Yeah, I like this dude. But
he's a beast.
You know, but like we were saying before, it's almost like a Kelvin situation, brother. You know, like,
let me throw just a kind of curveball at you real quick and say, sorry to interrupt, just because you're going through his record, right? You can't leave one off here.
Yes.
His last win in the UFC was over Gavin Tucker. I don't know if that name even rings a bell to you. And right after that, he lost a unanimous decision to Chan Sung Jung. And Chan Sung Jung has not looked absolutely incredible in his last few fights. So that being said,
zombie, man.
Like, that Korean Zombie loss, I feel like is a bit of a smear, in my opinion. And that also makes it look like there's a lot of room for a Damon Jackson to end up just making him have a very, very rough, tough night.
Ooh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and I think based off of, like, even in some of these losses, bro, I mean, it's unanimous decisions. 5-round fights, unanimous decisions. I would think in most of them, he was probably shown at least some type of weakness that I'm sure Damon Jackson is going to be able to utilize, bro. So,
and Damon has 15 submissions. professionally.
15 submissions.
And it's not like he's weak either. He's got 4 TKOs too. So like he's a finisher.
This is me kind of being biased now as I'm looking at it, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to really look at his last fight. He's actually fought a lot. It's
actually
nuts. Yeah.
Damon's a beast.
He's fought a lot. It's insane.
Yeah.
So even being a seasoned vet to it, I think at this point, being at 34, bro, prime of his life, I think, to be able to fight, man. And like you said, looking at his last fights, bro, knockouts, submissions, you know, and on rarity, the only times that he's actually lost was like guys that we actually truly understand, like, we're pretty damn good to the game right now. Yeah. As of right now, they're studs to the game. So, you know, I think based off of that, man, I think it would just be really hard not to think Damon Jackson dominates Dan Ige. But this is me again looking at it as, you know, it sucks because I'm a big fan of Dan Ige, but you could be a big fan of any person, right? When you talk about logic of a fight, man, I just think Action Jackson got it, man. You
can think like somebody's perfect, but if they step in mud, it doesn't change the fact that they stepped in mud. Like, Dan Ige stepped in mud. It's not going to be good for him. Like, I love Dan Ige. I think he's fantastic. Like, I love the 50K shtick. I love that that's his nickname, and I think he is always an exciting fighter. He's like Justin Gaethje for me. Like, Justin Gaethje is always an exciting fighter. Do I always bet on Justin Gaethje? Not a fucking chance. Because there are some fights that are just not favorable for him. Right. And I think this is a fight like that for Dan Ige. Like, just looking at their last opponents, Dan Ige's last opponent was Movsar Evloev. He lost a unanimous decision. Damon Jackson's last fight was against Pat Sabatini, and he literally TKO'd him. Or he got submission to punches. He made him tap to strikes.
How do you even do that, dog?
And here's the thing. Like, when you hear like, oh, he made him tap to strikes, that guy must have been a fucking schlub. No, that guy was on a 5-fight UFC win streak and a 7-fight win streak overall. Fuck out of here. The guy was a beast. He was finishing people.
Like, that's insane. That's insane. Hey, you know what I did want to see too, if you could bring it up for us on.
Yeah.
That comparison thing. You remember that comparison chart you had?
Yeah.
Could you bring that up for both those fighters as well? I'm kind of curious to see where they kind of stand when it comes to the takedowns and everything. Because the thing about Dan that I also kind of bring up is Dan is a veteran when it comes to freaking punching, man. He'll stand and bang with you. And that's the one thing I actually really like in certain fighters as well. Is like, man, you bring them up, bro, they'll actually come out there and try to at least, at least try to control. But when you see this, again, I'm seeing as Dan Ige is the red, right?
Yeah.
A lot of fight minutes. You know, that could be a good and bad thing, right? Like,
absolutely.
You get in there, you know, you have that type of opportunity to be able to at least, you know, control or dominate or, you know, figure out your fighting style, your fighting game. But if you're in there for too long now, man, now you're getting all these punches getting thrown at you. You're getting also different ways that people are trying to figure out yourself, you know. And I think as much as you want to change many little nuances of it, I think, you know, most of the time your style stays the same. So when you start to research, you got a guy that heavily researches your game a little bit, and he has 157 minutes to freaking watch through.
Yeah,
brother.
And then to top it off, like, if you look at their like fight time, like what happens in those fight minutes, look at the distance minutes. Like, Ige likes to stand at distance. That's when he wins fights. That extra 75 fucking minutes of distance time, that's how he wins fights. But if you look at the distance minutes for Damon Jackson, that right there tells me he knows how to close the distance, because this is just UFC fights time. So this is across 11 fights, I believe, I'm just guessing. I believe it's 11 fights for 50K Ige, and I think it's 6 fights in the UFC for Damon. So if you look at that, right, like in 6 fucking fights, all 6 opponents were only able to keep him at distance for 24 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And for the other 55.8 minutes of those, he was clinch ground, and then he had 39 minutes of control time across 6 fights. And those are 15-minute fights, not 25-minute fights. So the fact that Ige has almost twice as much overall fight time and about half as much control time.
That's insane.
And twice as much controlled time. That tells me this is not a favorable matchup for 50K Ige. It is going to be a long night, and unless he can get in there, get in the pocket, and start throwing some really nasty, really early body work, I don't think he wins this fight. I don't think he has a chance at winning this fight, to be honest.
I love that, man. Because I mean, after looking at this, and then also I think the kind of like the final caveat that I'd seen on top of it was height. Action Jackson is 5'11". Dan Ige, I think, is 5'7".
He's so long.
5'7", right?
Yeah.
So when you look at that, bro, you would think in logic, right? The only way that a guy like Dan Ige can win is he got to get in. He got to get in there, right?
They do have the same reach, though. So it is only a height differential. They both have a 71-inch reach, according to UFC.
I was going to say, the only interesting thing I was going to bring up is that if he has to get in, then he'll be able to get some control time. But I'm glad you brought this up, because now you could see who actually gets control time as well.
It's not Ige.
Action Jackson. Yeah. So this is
Jackson, like I said, he's got 15 submissions. There's a reason for that. Like you don't get a submission unless you know how to get position, and he's very good at keeping position and getting position. Wow. And another just kind of caveat, because you mentioned the height, right? So they both have a 71-inch reach. But let me ask you, I know you haven't like trained or fought like amateur or professionally or anything, but I'm sure you fucked around, and I'm sure you've like hit a bag occasionally, right? So if you're hitting a bag, you ever tried to swing upward at something? It feels weird. It feels awkward. Weird.
Oh, right? Yeah, dude, I did that today, bro.
So if you're doing that, like, it just doesn't feel right. It feels weird. It's hard. You're not able to generate the same force, power, etc., torque. But if you're punching downward, it's almost easier. And it also doesn't feel unnatural because you punch downward when you're punching the gut, when you're punching the body, when you're throwing those quick body hooks, right? For somebody like a Damon Jackson who's fighting somebody shorter than him with the same exact reach, he still does have an advantage there because he doesn't have to punch up, but his opponent does. It's easier for him to get inside. It's easier for him to do a lot of things.
That's crazy you said that too. I'm sorry to interrupt. But
no, you're good.
Just the side to side, for him to be, 4 inches taller than him, bro, for him just to swing right where his body is, where you're most comfortable. I feel like, you're not swinging up or you're swinging down. You're swinging right where you're comfortable. Yeah. This is his head. This is Dan Ige's head. Yeah. In logic of where I'm standing.
If he just throws from the shoulder, he's hitting him right on the fucking nose or right on the chin.
Insane. Yeah, that's insane.
And then to kind of boost and caveat off of that, like the only there is a flip side, right? It's a double-edged sword to some extent. Damon Jackson is by all rights a wrestler, a grappler, a finisher on the ground, on the mats. But the fact that Dan Ige is a little bit shorter than him, that is an advantage on a grappling standpoint, because a low sense of gravity, it's going to be the same situation with Islam versus Alexander Volkanovski. When you have somebody that has a low sense of gravity, if they're a decent wrestler, that should pay dividends for them, because now you have to shoot lower to get under them. When you're shooting to get under them, to penetrate their guard or penetrate their stance to get that single leg or that power double, whatever kind of takedown you're going for, a quick outside trip, etc., no matter what you're trying to go for, it starts with you penetrating that guard. You now have to drop a lower level to do that, and they are starting lower than you, right? So if I'm holding a bouncy ball in my right hand and I'm holding a bouncy ball in my left hand and I let them go at the same time, the left hand's going to hit the ground first. It's science, right? So it's logic. Boom. It's the same exact thing. So if both guys shoot, the shorter guy, by all rights, as long as he has quick reaction time, like we were going back to with Joaquin Buckley, he should be able to sprawl and basically beat that takedown. He should be able to get takedowns himself if he chooses to, but I just don't think that's a smart move. I think if he ends up going for a takedown, and I could see this happening, him thinking that out wrestling Damon might be smart, but Damon's really good at sweeping from the bottom. If I'm not mistaken, I think he did that against Dan. I think Dan Argueta got a takedown on him, if I'm not mistaken, and then he swept from the bottom. That might have been in another fight, but I think it was against Dan. So again, if you get on top of him, it almost creates a false sense of confidence. You're like, oh, I got him. Nice. Good for me. Pat myself on the back. Yeah. But then before you realize it, he swept from the bottom. Now you're underneath him. And then you're the next Pat Sabatelli or whatever his name was.
Pat Sabatini.
Right? Pat Sabatini. Yeah. I combined him and the guy from Bellator. Pat Sabatello. But like you're the next Pat Sabatini, right? Like you thought you were doing well, and now all of a sudden you're fucking tapping out from him striking you, and you're like, I don't want to be here. So, yeah, I think we're both in agreement. This is fairly one-way traffic, but if Dan does pull it off, what sucks is like
distance. You see potential distance, or would you say would it be?
It's gonna be rounds? It's gonna be a finish. Yeah. I don't see this fight going past the second round. I would be surprised if it went past the first round.
I see that. Yeah. No,
I think if he can get on top of him while he's dry, it's not going to be good for him.
And I think logically, I'm not going to lie to you. I think I think Action Jackson's going to be able to get it in the first round, if anything. I really do. I mean, it's just in terms of the fighting style, man, like you said, and then just looking up all the statistics. I'm so glad there's charts for things like that too, like the actual
absolutely, dude.
Work time for that, because man, logically, if you see that, bro, even if Action Jackson's coaches, if you see that, be like, dude, get inside and get him on a takedown. That's all you need to do. But like you said, how hard is it going to be? You know, if he has to reach lower, what's the potential of him actually having to do that? So, you know, I'm excited to see it. Do you see this potentially seeing a fight of the night type of thing? Would that only be if Dan Ige kind of like stands up to being?
Man, it's tough. It's tough to say this is going to be fight of the night. I think it might end up being a performance of the night. Mm-hmm. I would lean more towards fight of the night, either going to the next one we're going to go over, the Umar Nurmagomedov versus Raoni Barcelos, or the main event that we already talked about, Nasruddin versus Kelvin.
Yeah.
Also, though, like, fuck, we're not going to talk about this one, but another like sneaky little sleeper fight is Punahele Soriano going against Roman Kopylov.
Bro, that's gonna be nuts.
It's banger alert. Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, so
Kopylov has a fucking 2.5-inch reach advantage on him. I didn't realize that.
So okay, I've never had a chance. And pardon me on Roman's side, but I've never had a chance to really see any of his fights. I think I've seen that.
Oh my God, dude. Kopylov is awesome.
He's insane.
He's really fun to watch. Like he's not the best fighter in the world. Like he lost to Albert Duraev, and he got choked out by Carl Robertson. And then he came back and he ended up beating Alessio Di Chirico after Alessio Di Chirico got that nice knockout over Joaquin Buckley. Yeah.
Oh, so it's
the circle of life.
It's all the circle of life. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Damn. So they're actually both pretty damn good, because I've actually seen Soriano fight a couple times too. I mean, and it's
I think Punahele ends up winning the fight. What's funny is like both of those guys pretty much just go out there and either knock somebody out or get finished. So someone's gonna get knocked out. Don't know who. If I had to put money on it, I would say Punahele Soriano. I believe, isn't that Coconut Bombs? Isn't that his nickname? Mr. Coconut Bombs?
Story Time.
Or no, sorry, Story Time. There's another one whose nickname is Coconut Bombs.
Coconut Bombs?
I always mix him up with the Coconut Bombs guy. I'll have to ask Jalen, because I know Jalen loves Coconut Bombs. He loves that dude. So yeah, I think it's a fun fight. I think it ends up going not to decision, not a fucking chance. I think performance of the night, Damon Jackson gets it done via submission. And if I had to be like super ballsy and like guess the type of submission, I think he's probably. I think he ends up getting an arm triangle on him.
Mackie Patolo, by the way, is
Mackie Patolo, Coconut Bombs.
Had to look that up for you, my guy. Had to look you up.
Coconut Bombs. Yeah, that guy's a beast. He's fun. He was on Dana's Contender Series. That guy's fun.
Oh, no way. Fun. No way. Yeah. So,
yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know, man. I could definitely see that. You were talking about the Punahele one, right? Yeah, I could definitely see that fight being either a knockout, but on both sides. Truly on both
that fight's
sides.
Gonna be a knockout.
Like, and then when we talk about that Dan Ige and David Jackson one, yeah, I think we both agree in agreement. I think Action Jackson is probably gonna be able to take it over and dominate. I can see again, bro. I can see
Ige getting it done. Ige's a beast.
You know what I mean? Just getting a couple swings in there, bro, where it gets to the point. Again, it's almost like the Kelvin effect, because I do see him having some brick hands as well. So if he gets a couple swings in there, I mean, I can see it going somewhere. But he has to do it, like you said, with his. It's
got to be quick too. It's got to be quick.
Body work, and yes, got to be quick. Got to be quick. You can't get into Action Jackson's potential with grappling, bro. I mean,
no, you can't let him in on top of you, and if like he has to be able to defend the takedowns early, land early, and if he gets taken down, he has to show Damon that it's going to be hard to keep him down. Otherwise, it's going to be a fucking tough fight for him. And honestly, I think it ends up being an arm triangle. I think Damon Jackson gets it done via submission, first round.
Let me ask you something though, before we essentially finish up with this one as well. Damon Jackson, if he does win, I mean, dude, he's on a nasty streak.
It's the biggest win of his career.
Where the hell does he go from there? I mean, is Dan Ige ranked right now, Brody? What is his?
I don't. Dan Ige, I think, right? Is ranked.
Is he? Yeah.
Let me look at the rankings real quick. So we got Dan Ige is number 13. So this would put Damon Jackson into the rankings.
Whoo.
And if he beats Dan Ige, that would set up a lot of really fun potential fights. So I think next fights for Damon Jackson, that would make a lot of sense. I'm just going to throw out 3 names here. So I'm going to go 2 over, 1 under. So we'll go Bryce Mitchell.
Who?
Sadiq Youssef.
Like that.
Or Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres.
Oh,
I knew you were going to lose it on that last one. So say it's for the last.
Bro, if he got that last one, I'm not going to lie to you. That one would be nuts to me.
Yeah.
That one would be nuts to me. Because both.
I think that'd be a fun fight. The fan in me that loves Caceres doesn't want to see that fight because I feel like it's a weirdly bad matchup for him. But
I could see him getting choked. I'm not gonna lie.
Same. The guy in me that wants to see the best fight the best, that's a fight that makes a lot of sense, I think. That
would be nuts. Damn. Dude.
Or even or if nobody ends up deciding that they want to fight Giga Chikadze, I know that'd be a big jump in competition for him. But if he beats Dan Ige and he makes it look easy, like if it's masterful, I say give him a Giga.
Give him a Giga. Bro, Giga's insane.
Giga is insane.
Now, we want to talk about like guys that shouldn't be in that weight class. Bro, he's one of those dudes, bro. He shouldn't be in that weight class.
He's so long, dude.
He's huge.
Yeah.
He's huge.
And he's built like a tank.
We'll talk about it after as the final wrap up. But okay, so we both agree on Action Jackson.
Yes.
Potential.
Yes.
Now let's go to the final because I do want to discuss this one. This is something I've thought about for a minute, brother.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here on this panel. Should be this one. Boom. So we have Umar Nurmagomedov going in against Raoni Barcelos. This one is a banger. Umar is very early in his career, right? 3-0. Raoni is fairly early in his career for MMA, but definitely not early in his career for jiu-jitsu and just, combat in general, right? Like his UFC career, he's not had a ton of fights, but is 17-3. So Umar also these stats are just showing their UFC stats. So look overall, it's 15-0 versus 17-3. Okay, and again, if you look at who these people have fought, let's just kind of break it down right at the base here. We got Raoni Barcelos. His last 5 fights, he has a win over Said Nurmagomedov, unanimous decision. He beat Khalid Taha, unanimous decision, and then he lost to Tamer Valiev, majority decision, and then he lost a unanimous decision to Victor Henry. And Victor Henry came out of nowhere. I didn't even know who he was before that fight, and I'm like a diehard MMA guy. And he came out there and just acted like Raoni Barcelos owed him lunch money. Absolutely beat him pole to pillar, and it was beautiful. It was a great performance by Victor Henry. Yeah. He looked incredible doing it. And then in his next fight, he lost to Rafael Assunção. So that begs questions. Yeah, great fighters, but that begs questions. Like if you got beat by Victor Henry, who then got beat by Rafael Assunção in his very next fight, right? And mind you, Assunção was on a 4-fight losing streak before he got that win, and it was a unanimous decision win. So it's not like he got lucky. He had lost to Marlon Moraes, Corey Sandhagen, Cody Garbrandt, and Ricky Simon. So that tells me that Raoni has holes in his game, and big glaring holes. He also, when he loses, he typically loses via submission or decision. Those are his only losses. So you look at Umar, and how does he win? Submission, decision. I'm just reading his win-losses. I'm not rapping right now. That's just me. I got submission, decision. So he literally he just fucking gets it done, right? And he either submits you or he takes you into deep waters and makes you not want to be there. He has 7 submissions, 7 decisions, and he even has 1 TKO on there for good measure. So
for the fun.
just for shits and giggles, for shiggles. So just look at their UFC, right? Like you have one guy that's got 8 fights in the UFC. You got one guy that's got 3. Okay. 3 to 6 wins. All right. KO wins. 0-2, right? Umair hasn't knocked anybody out in the UFC. That's fine. Submissions. Raoni Barcelo, this fucking, submission guy, grappler, he's only got 1 submission win in the UFC. Umair's only had 3 fights and he's got 2. All right. Losses. Again, 0 for Umair. So that's great. We can look at their, fight outcomes all day, but what it really boils down to is what's happening in those fights. So round 1 finish, Umair's got 1. Round 2 finish, Umair's got 1. Unanimous decision, he's got 1, right? Raoni needs to typically get it done in round 2 or round 3. So he only finishes in the 2nd or 3rd round, or he takes you to decision, which is typically what he does. I don't think he's able to get a decision win over Umair. Umair is going to be too strong, too quick, and too Nurmagomedov for him. He's going to be too Dagestani for the guy.
In better words, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, I don't think this is one-way traffic. I think this is a great fight for Umair. Just because, looking at his last few fights, Nathan Menes, Brian Kelleher, Sergey Morozov, like, those are his 3 UFC fights. Of those 3 fights, I would say the best opponent he fought was Brian Boom Kelleher. And he finished that guy in 3 fucking minutes. So
insane. Just fucking insane, bro.
Naked choked him in literally 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
I think just based off of that too, like you were saying, I'm sorry, just kind of backpacking a bit. Dude, I can't agree more with all that. I think just based off of who they fought in the past, and then you also see, I mean, I'm not one to always talk about age again, bro.
Yeah.
But Umar is only 26 years old.
He's so young.
He is young.
He's a kid in the sport, bro.
He's a kid in the sport. But his, like you said, his family is from the Nurmagomedovs, right? And the only caveat, again, I want to throw out there too. You said Raoni?
Raoni, yeah.
Raoni. The only thing I would say to Raoni is, dare I say, if he wins this fight, would he become the Nurmagomedov killer?
Oh, dude, he'd have to change his nickname, right? Like the Gracie Hunter?
You know what I'm talking about? Bro, but no, look, like, I think just based off of the fights in the way that these guys win, I mean, it's kind of hard to not think that Umar would have more of a chance to win based off of his game. Like if Raoni's gonna want to win, he's gonna want to take him to the deep end, like you said. I mean, those fights where he's knocked dudes out, bro, it's been like 2016. That's 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
4 or 5 years to your hands. Sooner or later, we'll start to make a play. Maybe
and also, if you look at the fight minutes, sorry to interrupt, but like if you look at the fight minutes, 26.9 minutes compared to 105.5 minutes, right? And they almost have the same number of finishes.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane.
Do you get me?
Yeah, like you're gonna want to take this guy. To
imagine what these stats look like once Umair's got 105 fucking UFC minutes under his belt. How many finishes do you think this guy's gonna have? Come on.
Dude, you know what's insane? These guys, bro, from Kazakhstan, bro. Like, I don't know where they're getting their skills from, man. They come in 15-0, only like. Well,
I mean, they for fun, they literally have a river in Dagestan. Like, they don't have anything to do. I watched this on like one of the documentaries. For fun, they go to this river and they swim against the stream and see who can last the longest.
That's insane. That's insane.
How are you gonna beat a guy that does that's cardio?
What? Oh, think about that, dog.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what are you gonna do? You're all when I'm bored for fun, I sit on the couch and watch TV and eat potato chips. This guy swims upstream against the fucking river, and then after that goes 5 rounds with a bear.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. That's insane. See, and when you start to think about, again, you start thinking about the statistical advantage to each of these fighters. I mean, they have such a similar comparison to how they've won, but it's only been a couple fights, so it's like it's kind of hard to determine off of UFC. But if you look at the past fights, right, bro, it's not like Umar is not submitted or knocked guys out in the past. Like that's how he started fighting, you know. Then he started doing a couple decisions here and there, and then knockouts throughout that. Raoni at this other time, he has literally decisions, a bunch of decisions. In the beginning of his career, he was knocking dudes out, though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But to see where it is now, and again, 2017, 2016, where you're dominating, potentially dominating, to 2022 now, is a far gap. It's a far gap, man. And I mean, the only thing I could see that would be an advantage is, I mean, potential. Do they have the similar reach? Because they're same.
I think
height.
they actually have a pretty similar reach.
Yeah,
it's actually Omero's got 2 inches on him.
They have the same damn height, bro. So I think, I mean, maybe they only got an inch, but I mean, I just see Umar doing what simple Nurmagomedovs do, brother. You know,
yep, I agree.
They maul and dominate. But my caveat is, Raoni, he did do a lot of a bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
and
he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu beast. He's a really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy.
I believe his dad was also part of the big force of Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well. So, I mean, I could see him doing a lot of like play, but I mean, I've seen Islam, the way he fought, you know,
Charlie Olives.
Yeah, Charles Olive, and when you think of the potential of how that happened, bro, I could just see the same thing happening with this fight. I mean, you know, you could bring out Brazilian jiu-jitsu as much as you want, but when you got a guy that can stand them all, but then, like you said, that has the strength to be able to do whatever he wants, and I feel like most of these guys that are from the Nurmagomedov bloodline are able to do that, and I think it's just they're based off their strength, just off their dominance, you know. So
they're so strong, dude.
Man,
so fucking strong.
You would know, brother. You know what I mean?
I would know. I would know. Unfortunately, I've been on the receiving end of some stuff. My pinky still hurts when it's cold out, you know? Thanks, Islam.
He says, no problem, brother. No problem, brother.
No problem, brother.
No problem, brother. Bro. But, you know, just based off of that, again, man, I think we're both in agreement. I think Umar would easily dominate. I don't know if it could potentially go all 3 rounds. It could potentially. I think unless Umar really just kind of gets in there and gets under the chin, you know, maybe something. But I don't know. I can't see like Raoni not doing his game plan, which is actually just playing the long run, you know. And I feel like if he's anything really good with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he should at least be pretty good with the bottom as well. So I think it could potentially go into later rounds, but either way, I think Umar ends up dominating. I think he just takes it, brother.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I think Raoni has a chance to like flash KO him, but it's a very, very slim chance. So that's it for those fights. Obviously, I think we're pretty much in agreement on all of them. Mm-hmm. We've got Damon Jackson, who is always about that action, taking the win. I think he gets it done via submission in the first or second round, probably the first round when they're really dry. Arm triangle choke is what I'm thinking from Damon Jackson. I think Nasruddin Imavov by KO or decision, depending on if it's a 3-round or 5-round fight. I think if it's a 3-round fight, he might get decision. If it is a 5-round fight, I think he tries to get it done early via knockout. And then for Umer, I'm saying, what's the call? Do I say round 1 or do I say round 2? I'm going to say round 1, rear naked choke, RNC. I think that's the move.
I like that. I could potentially see, and I think I agree with you on all those. I think the thing with that last one, either first round or second round, but same thing, man. I think he just dominates him.
I think it's a rear naked choke. I think Raoni ends up probably getting underneath him, tries to go for a quick escape, gives up his back, gets choked out. And then we had talked about before doing the episode, we wanted to kind of go through and just do a quick rundown as a special little gift to those viewing. We are going to run through the rankings here and go ahead and make our calls, so that way you guys can talk shit about us at the end of the year on how wrong we are, or you can give us a little virtual high five on how fucking awesome and how right we are. Yes, so let's see how wrong and or right we end up being.
I think we're gonna be pretty good. I think we're gonna do pretty good.
I think we're gonna do good. We'll even do a men's pound for pound too. So we'll go ahead and start there.
Awesome.
Who do you think ends the year as number one male pound for pound fighter?
Man, oh man.
I've already got picks for most of these, I think.
Off of those names alone, I think it would have to be either Kamaru Usman. I think either if he gets his belt back and he gets another fight in, he's probably going to try to fight at least once or twice in 23. So I could see him getting his belt back if he gets his belt back from Leon.
Okay.
I think he could potentially get up there to get his back to his pound for pound. But if not, because you think Leon and Kamaru's or you think they're gonna be spearheaded to fight next? You think they're gonna have another rink before?
I think Ali Abdelaziz is lying, and I think that Kamaru Usman is injured right now. So I think he sits out. I think it ends up being, unfortunately, though it should be Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. I don't think Bilal will get the nod. I don't think he'll get the shot.
That would be amazing.
I think that they'll end up giving the chance to Jorge Masvidal just due to popularity. And of course, Leon just dominates that fight. So if and when that happens, then your boy Kamaru will have the chance. Which is better for Kamaru because it gives him longer to train, longer to prepare, and longer to fix those like 2 or 3 little holes in his game. I think you're right. If he wins the belt, he could definitely sit atop.
Yeah. Okay. So if not that, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't see who was under number 2, and I hate that. Got to be Islam.
That's my pick. That's my obvious pick.
It's gotta be Islam, brother. I'm sorry to be biased.
It's gotta be Islam, brother.
Dude, that's crazy.
Brother,
that's crazy.
It's Islam.
Islam's there. I didn't even see he was hiding there, man.
Yeah.
He's clear cut. Okay, the way I look at it,
because Charlie Olives was sitting at number 2 and he beat him. So now Charlie's number 7, and then hey, Eric in the chat, what's up? That's one half of the original podcast. Dimma Boys right there, baby.
Let's go. What's going on?
So we are just talking. We're at closer to the end of the episode, Eric. We are just talking about who we think is going to sit atop the rankings of each set of rankings here. So he said, T had said originally that it's going to be Kamaru Usman, Kamaruddin if he gets that belt back. I'm thinking, brother, it's got to be Islam, brother. Bear. I think it's going to be Islam Makhachev. I think he beats Alexander Volkanovski, and then I think he goes up in weight class and beats Leon Edwards, double champ. Fun fact. The fun fact. This is going to blow your mind if you don't already know this little fun fact. So when Islam and the boys first came to American Kickboxing Academy, shout out AKA San Jose, the first person that Islam Makhachev sparred in a cage was Leon Edwards. So that's fun.
Insane. That is insane. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
So you think about like, and I know fighters remember things like that, man. You got to remember that you guys have fought at least once or twice back in the day, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Potentially that fight would be a blockbuster of a fight, bro.
Oh, yeah. That fight would be a banger, dude.
Islam somehow manages to get within the opportunity of, again, beating Volkanovski, which we both agreed.
Yeah.
I think we both agreed that Islam would win, but potentially really, really great fight because Volkanovski.
I don't think it'll be an easy fight by any means. I think it's going to be a very hard fought fight, no matter who wins in that one. But I do think Islam has the edge. He's bigger. He's naturally bigger. He's very fucking strong, and his grappling is insane. But Alexander Volkanovski, if there's anybody that can get him with that knockout, guy's got so much power. And if he goes to the body early like he did against Chad Mendez, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So, all right, we're pretty much in agreement. I think your runner up is my main. My main is your main is my runner up. So it's going to be either Islam or Kamaruddin probably. And then moving into the flyweight division.
Ooh.
I think
great division now, man. This is hard.
This one's tough, right? There's a lot of studs here. You got your Mateus Nicolaus, you got your Brandon Royvals, Kai Kara-France. He's still got a shot at it. But I think Brandon Moreno. I thought he won that the third fight they had.
He won that?
I thought he won that fight. I definitely thought he won that fight. I also thought he won the first fight. I'll be completely honest with you. I thought he should have won both decisions on those fights. And he dominated the second fight. So I think this is going to be no different. Yeah. I think Brandon Moreno all day. I'm going McLovin.
I could see that, man. I could see that. So my only potential outbring of that is, obviously the champion. I think Figueiredo, the only reason why I would see him dominating in even the next fight is if they are fighting actually, I believe, again within this upcoming year here. But the only way I could see him dominating again is the way that he did it, which he just took him down. He kept taking him down, And I think at some point, if what's good for Figueiredo is if he decides on and kind of keeping that place, I mean, I could see him doing it, man. I could see him going in and winning the championship again and ending the year with it again.
So Eric chimed in on the chat and said, I think Davison versus Moreno is the same as DC versus Jones, except the belt goes back and forth without PEDs involved. Sir, you will be awarded 1 picogram as the winner of the best comment of the day.
I actually could see what Eric's saying as well, man. I could see it going back and forth, and then potentially, I mean, they both, we were saying before, there's certain fighters that just look too cut for what their weight is, man. I mean, and for him to be able to look that freaking lean, bro, at flyweight is insane, bro. Insane. He's cut. So I mean, potentially, man, I could see it potentially where he could be getting caught for something like that. But if he's not, and we're saying he's full clean, bro, and he keeps his
call me Aaron because I'll be Pico. Aaron. Shout out Bellator.
Bro,
he literally did it for the gram. The Pico.
I think if Figueiredo plays a smart man, I think if he dominates this next fight, which I think, if he keeps his game again, bro, if he keeps away from it being standing, because I think that's the thing with Brandon. Brandon has fantastic boxing.
He has some of the best. He's the second best boxer in the UFC.
Nuts. It's fucking nuts. And if he keeps it up, bro, there's no fucking way that he wins. So the only way I could see him winning that is actually him taking him down. So if he does that, then I could see him potentially being the number one for flyweight at the end of the
day. Love it. Fucking love it. So, all right, I'm going with Brandon McLovin Moreno, and Tien is going with Figgy, don't you see?
Hey.
We'll go ahead and jump into the bantamweight division here, the 135ers. Yeah, I'm gonna... You know what? I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I mean, bro, are we going from outside the crowd and we're going to say the man, the legend is actually coming back? Henry C-Dog?
The king of cringe?
If Henry comes back, bro, it is very, 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 very hard to see anyone beat Henry Cejudo, bro. This guy is so insane. But Aljamain Sterling is finally doing what I feel like he's like locked, or he should have been locked into doing way back in the day, bro, which is just using his wrestling skills. And he's finally doing that in his fights, where he's just controlling people, bro, taking people down. Like the way he dismantled Peter Yan was absolutely nuts to me. Because I remember I had me and my cousins had a shit ton on Peter Yan, thinking that okay, he's gonna dominate again. But the way that Aljamain was just slowly just taking him down, bro, and controlling him. And
it was nice, dude.
Wobbing him. There was a potential, I think, a couple chokes that he could have got in. And if you base it off of that, brother, I mean, I think it's hard to beat him. I think it's literally hard to beat Aljamain Sterling. I really can't see Sean O'Malley beating Aljamain. I really can't. As much as I like Sean's swings, I think he's very hyped up right now, and even in that last fight with Peter Yan, we were talking about that. That could have went either way. Because I was looking at it. I mean, Peter Yan had fantastic takedowns, but when he came to standing up, Sean was doing it to him, bro. Sean was inking him up. So, yeah, man, I think that potential. I think for me.
So Aljamain all day, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say Henry's been out the game for too long for me, man. So I think Aljamain will potentially, even if he loses, he's going to come back and win the belt again. So I think by the end of the year.
You're not gonna like this. I feel like that answer was a bit bitter, so I'm gonna throw some sugar on it. I don't even like this guy. Okay, I don't even like this dude.
I love Sean, man.
But look at him. Look at him. This is this right here, hailing from Saudi Arabia, obviously, judging by the way he's dressed, is going to be the bantamweight division king, I think. And once he is the bantamweight division king, they're going to officially change the name from bantamweight to drama weight or sugar weight. I think it'll be a really fun year for bantamweight, and I think that even if he only fights like once, he'll make fucking waves. And I don't think he fights Aljamain next. I think he ends up fighting, honestly, like a Marlon Vera in a rematch. And I think that's probably the worst matchup for him. I think that's the only match he loses. I think he has a chance at actually beating Aljamain because he's better on the ground than people give him credit for. The fact that he got Muay Thai tripped by Peter, and then right after that, he's all, cool, I can do it to you too. And he literally like tripped him too and was like, cool. Like I do right that literally was like, oh shit, he's way better than I thought he fucking was. Like, he's actually really good. I just think, as much as I'm not a fan of his at all, like, his coach literally blocked me on Twitter after the Marlon Vera fight because I tagged his coach and I was like, hey dude, remember when you were saying Marlon Vera's easy work? That was dumb. So like, I can't stand Sean. I think he's annoying as fuck. He literally just said that Dana White's wife deserved to be slapped because like she was asking for it, this, that, and the other. Like, he's genuinely not a good dude, but you don't have to be a good dude to be a good fucking fighter. And I think he's a great fighter. So 100%. Sean O'Malley sits atop the throne, wearing the dumbest outfit he possibly can and a UFC belt by the end of 2023.
Wow, I like that, man. I like that. I like that. Yeah,
and I'm going to throw it. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to throw a major curveball here when it comes to the next one. Sean O'Malley, Brandon Moreno, Islam Makhachev, I feel like those are all easy options here, right? But when it comes to this fucking guy, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, you got to ask yourself, like, he's fought Max 3 times, made it look easy the last time. He's fought Brian Ortega, dominated him. Chan Sung Jung made him look like he didn't even belong in the WEC, let alone the UFC. Like, he would turn the gigabyte known as Giga Chikadze into a fucking kilobyte or a megabyte. Like, 100%. It's just, it's not even fair what he does to these people. But if you've noticed, I've skipped over a name in the division that he has not fought yet. Somebody that I think will sit among that fucking throne and dethrone Alexander the Great. See, I think Alexander the Great goes up in weight. I think he loses to Islam. And then after that, he goes back down to defend his belt, and he loses to one Arnold Billy Allen. Arnold, almighty Allen. Arnold. Mr. Swang 'em and bang 'em himself. You fucking stop at the rest stop to take a shower in a public shower and then get your meal from fucking Tesco. The guy's a beast. And I was joking about Kelvin's gas tank, but this guy literally is a fucking rechargeable Energizer battery. And like, the second you think he's about to run out of juice, he goes to his corner and his coach is like, let me just pop your back off. 2 new batteries. Let's go. Like, he fucking doesn't run out of juice. And he's so strong. And his dad did so much steroids, I think he just got him like naturally passed to him in the womb. Yeah. I think that's the move.
Oh, yeah. I like that, bro. I like that. Bro, you know what's crazy is, like you said, man, that weight class seems so top heavy.
Yeah.
Because like the bottom 6, like you said there, Bryce Mitchell, I thought he was going to be doing good against Ilya. Ilya's in that one too, man. I mean, there's a lot of studs.
But let me ask you, does Ilya get past Arnold? If Arnold Allen fought Ilya today, there's not a fucking chance.
Arnold right now, bro, like, I would say the last, like, prior to him fighting Sadiq, I think when he was fighting like Gilbert, because I remember him fighting Gilbert Melendez. Yeah. When he was fighting those type of fights and he was getting decisions, it didn't look as good to me. But when he was getting these fucking knockouts on Dan and Calvin, even for him to knock out Calvin Kattar, that's fucking nuts. That's fucking nuts. So I mean, I could see this guy actually going up there and dominating. I could definitely see what you're saying with him too. I think for me, man, it's kind of hard, bro, because I think it's hard to push out Volkanovski right now because he's so dominant at that area. Even with Max Holloway, bro, when he fought him, I think he beat Max damn near all three times, right?
I would agree.
Yeah, like he was just,
agree.
He just controlled him, brother. Like he was just too damn good for him.
But let me ask you, if he were to fight Arnold Allen in 2 months, how does that fight go? Like genuinely, how do you see it going?
Okay, so if he was to fight,
like let's say instead of fighting Islam, he's training to fight Arnold Allen.
Okay, that's so hard, man. Because when you think about strength for strength, I think punch wise, they both can get a good, bro. They both got knuckles, bro. They both can go in there and bang each other. You know what I'm saying? So if it becomes a bang situation, you're not gonna want to do that against Arnold for sure.
No.
But then now you talk about like grappling, bro. This guy Arnold's strong as shit, and that's the scary thing about like fighting strong fighters. That's why a guy like Max Holloway, I didn't think he was gonna do good against Volkanovski. Because Volkanovski just has that fucking strength, bro. You could just see to me, Volkanovski is like he's the definition of a wrestler.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and he's literally built like it. He's so low. He's just straight, a brick. You know what I'm saying? He's a brick shithouse, man.
Brother. And the way he walks, bro, he probably walks like this with his fucking hands out. He just can't put him down because he's so fucking just bricked up. So I think when it comes to them fighting each other, 2 months. 2 months is a pretty good amount of time, man. I could see Arnold potentially doing some damage, but just based off of what I know from Volkanovski, bro, I mean, there's a reason he's up there on the pound for pound right now. You know, like, this guy is a tank. He's an absolute fucking tank. So that makes it kind of difficult, I think, right now.
It sounds like you're leaning towards Volkanovski sitting atop the throne by the end of 2023 still.
You know what? Let me. The only reason why.
Because, I mean, the only other options in the top 5 are Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, Arnold Allen, and Josh Emmett.
Yeah,
Josh Emmett isn't technical enough to get it done. Mm-hmm. Brian Ortega already missed his shot. Yair Rodriguez, I don't think has a chance in hell at an Alexander Volkanovski.
I could see it. Okay, you know what?
He could win with technical striking, but against Alexander Volkanovski, Volkanovski already, he's going to suffocate him.
You know what, my guy? You have actually sold me on this idea. And the only reason why is because I could see Volkanovski. I see the potential players or fighters that he's had. But everyone has their dog day. And I feel like he'd be fighting a guy that is young. You know, Arnold's 28.
He's 28.
Man. He's fucking 28.
And dude, his last 5 fights alone, bro. Gilbert Melendez, Nick Lentz, Super Sadiq Youssef, Dan Hooker, Calvin Kattar. It's fucking who's who. His third fight in the UFC was against Makwan Amirkhani.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's fucking insane.
They basically were like, "Oh, you look pretty good, kid. Let's see how you really do." And he fucking won that fight.
He won that fight. That's actually nuts. Yeah, no, this dude's pretty good, bro. And I think the one thing that I like about him a lot is he's active.
He's so active.
He's so active.
Like the only time he's not fighting is because like he's had 5 other people say no to him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's constantly signing contracts and saying like, "Yeah, I'll fight anybody." And he's
right
also like a good dude. He doesn't jump on the mic and start talking a bunch of shit. Like he's a good kid. He's a smart kid, and he's really good at what he does.
Let me ask you, who does he fight next? If it's not he's not going to fight Volkanovski. I don't think he's going to get that shot.
He's not going to fight Volkanovski next. Who do I think? I think
like
honestly, I think he should fight a Brian. I don't think Brian will take it though. Brian won't take it. Brian won't sign that fight. I think if like a Chan Sung Jung would sign, I think he'd kill Chan Sung Jung. If he's willing down, he destroys a Giga Chikadze. Ilya Taporia versus him would be a really fun fight, but again, I think he crushes Ilya.
Yeah,
he's too fucking strong for Ilya, dude.
He just beat Kelvin, brother. He just beat Kelvin.
Yeah, he just beat Kelvin. He made him. Kelvin kicked him and broke his shit.
Jesus.
So I think honestly, like if you want logical matchup for him, I would say Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, or Josh Emmett, and then the winner of that fight gets the next title shot.
They deserve
that'd be my guess.
They would deserve it. So you know what? You sold me on that. I think I agree with you, brother. That one I agree with you on.
Arnold Allen, brother, all day.
Allen. No joke.
He's the guy. He's definitely the dark horse of that division.
Or so Islam is not going down.
No, hell no. Have you seen Islam cut weight? That motherfucker's huge. He can't go down.
Big, huh? He's too big.
He'll go up. If anything, he can go up. Like he will literally, mark my words. Islam in lightweight. Hey, what's up? Average Avenue is 11.
Hey.
The MMA Twitter homie. We are just going through who we think is going to be sitting atop each division here by the end of the year 2023. So far on our pound for pound list, the guy here, Tien, Crude Analysis, he has Kamaru Usman coming back and winning his belt, sitting atop the throne. And if that doesn't happen, he says Islam Makhachev. I say, regardless, it'll be Islam Makhachev. And then I think after Islam, wins his fight against Volk, he goes up and takes the belt from Leon Edwards, possibly. And then our next one, we had Davis and Figueiredo in the flyweight. That was Crude Analysis, Tien's choice, and mine in Moreno. And the next one, bantamweight, Tien had Aljamain the Funk Master Sterling, and I've got Sugar O'Malley. And in that last one we just went over, finally, we got a win. We agreed on something here. We're going with Arnold Almighty Allen coming in there and just taking everything everyone else has worked for. In the lightweight division, I think we might end up having another agreement because I don't think anybody's going to say that somebody's going to beat Islam this year, right?
You know what, man? I don't. You know what sucks? You know what sucks? It's almost like if you consider basketball terms and you consider like Michael Jordan back in the day, it's like there's so many great teams around that era that just never got a chance to freaking shine because they, that guy was there.
Yep.
It's just like that, bro. I think Islam's going to be the dude now, bro, for it's just like the next couple years.
No, Average Avenues. We're not disrespecting the Aussie. I love Alexander Volkanovski. Huge fan.
Yeah.
But I trained at American Kickboxing Academy. Islam broke my pinky. I got to go for Islam. And also, I think it's a bad matchup. I think, I think Islam gets it done. I don't think it's an easy match for Islam at all. And then I think after that loss, he goes back down. I think after going up in weight, going back down in weight, he ends up having not the best weight cut, not the best camp of his life at featherweight. And I think that's a perfect recipe for disaster for somebody like Arnold Allen to come in and just take all kinds of advantage of it.
Yeah. And then that's actually really great. That's a really great way of kind of looking at that as well, man.
That's the thing. I don't think he's going to have like a bad night at the office, but I do think he's going to have a bad night at the office due to outside reasons. Like he just fought at 155. He's going to go back down to 145. We've seen this happen before where somebody goes back down in weight. It's harder. So I think that ends up being the case. So yeah, we can go ahead and just actually skip over lightweight, to be honest, because we got Michael Jordan here sitting at the top. Dennis Rodman's not going to fucking beat him. That's just how it works. Same team, different teams, fucking black top, don't matter. Nobody's going to beat Michael Jordan at the top here, okay? And then jumping into the next weight class here, we got welterweight. And of course, we got Mr. Leon Rocky Edwards sitting at the top currently. This is a hard one.
This one's a freaking hard one.
I'm going to let you go first on this one, T.
This one's a hard one, brother. This is a hard one because I would say, even out of the top, I would say the top four, there's three names that, I would say, or top four, I guess, including the champion, right? That you could say could easily dominate. I mean, you got Leon there, Kamaru's there. Kobe on their good day could definitely dominate someone as well. I mean, he was doing it to Kamaru for a little bit in that last fight as well. Khamzat is like obviously the outlier because you never fucking know with Khamzat. You never know if this dude makes weight, brother. He's scary. But then you got my golden boy, bro, and this is the one guy that I feel like I would always be scared about too is Bilal, bro. I feel like Bilal Muhammad has all the avenues to be able to win, bro. I've seen him with knockouts, or I've seen him have the power to be able to knock someone out. I've seen him also win in decision, great decision fights. But I think him going with AKA, which again, I gotta bring that up to you, bro, because Khabib retiring, does that make it like more difficult, you would say? Like, would that make it more difficult?
I mean, I do.
Because does it trickle down?
Because he's not going to be training these guys,
not
right?
Islam anymore, right? So he's not, because you got to think about, I'm sorry to interrupt too, but it's like, bro, Islam, gone. I think, I don't know if Kamaru was training with him. I think Leon may have been. Bilal was for sure.
Bilal was training with him. Leon hasn't trained at AKA for some time, and I know Kamaru and those guys, they don't train with him. They train with Trevor Whitman.
Yes, that's who it was, Trevor Whitman. You know, and there's so many players or fighters at the helm right now that are actually being trained by that guy Khabib, and I feel like that's gonna make it, if not trained, at least being like on the I guess coached on the side by him. And I feel like that
absolutely
that helps tremendously, bro. To have a guy that's actually that, like, because anything he says at this point, it's like, dude, I gotta listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. Like, dude, like he has the background for it. But
so let me ask you then, who, like, with all of that considered, who's your name? Who's sitting at the top and why? End of the year.
I would say end of the year, vengeance coming back to it. Kamaru Usman.
Kamaru Dean. I knew you were going to pick Kamaru, bro. I had a feeling.
I have to. This is my only analysis on this, brother, is because, those are great. Those are great average. Those are great picks as well. We were kind of debating in between it with me and MMA here. We were trying to figure out the separation between all those, and I think we agree on a few of those as well. But yeah, no,
So you got Kamaru coming back, seeking revenge.
Hard, I just think it's hard, brother, because I think when you think about how good this guy has been, like, I remember, again,
you talking about Kamaru?
Yeah, this is just being from a MMA fan perspective. When he beat Tyron Woodley, that was like the first time I was like, oh shit, like, who the hell is this guy? I knew this guy was good, but who the hell is this guy? He just won like that, like. Then he just went on a dominating streak, bro, beating everybody. Everybody. It didn't matter who you brought up.
And he made it look pretty fucking easy, too. Like, he was really dominating these guys.
If not that, bro, controlling the goddamn, the dude, everything. Takedowns, everything you need. But now, you talk about what's in there now, bro. And you got a guy like Leon that literally, any given Sunday, bro, one leg shot, boom, headshot down, right? Like,
Thank you, Avenues 11. Yes. How damaging was that KO, though? I agree. We were talking about this a bit before you jumped on. I was making my age-old analogy here. I think chins are much like a gallon of milk. You take that milk out, you're half asleep, you pour it in your coffee, you forget to put it back in the fridge for like 30, 40 minutes. You took a day off that expiration date. Mm-hmm. That's basically like a chin being punched a few unnecessary times, right? Or kicked. Shin to chin is never fun, right? Been there, done that. Didn't like it. I liked it a little bit. But anyways, so you had this guy basically just getting fucking pelted from just a head kick heard around the world. And he went to sleep. He literally became a meme a few days after Leon Edwards told an interviewer, I'm going to make him into a meme. So how damaging was the KO physically? And how damaging was the KO to his ego, to his mentality? And this is exactly why I think there's a high chance that Volkanovski suffers his first featherweight loss after Islam beats him at lightweight. Same reason. Whether he knocks him out, finishes him via submission, dominates him to a decision, doesn't matter. That loss will sit with you. Yeah. Even more so, to Avenue 11's point here, is if you get knocked out, hey, I mean, there's acting like there's real damage, like scientific damage done, but there's also damage to the ego. Like, we've all seen that scene in the Sherlock Holmes movie where he like calculates everything and breaks down beating that guy in the fight. And he's like, time to recover physically, 6 weeks. Time to recover emotionally, 8 months. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the time that he gave to recover emotionally was twice as long as the physical recovery. I think that's real. That's very, very real. It's like Anderson Silva when he got his leg snapped. Do you think that the first thing he wanted to do was come and throw leg kicks again? Probably not. So that's something that sits with you. And I think that Avenues 11 is right here. I think that head kick KO is going to stick with him. I think he's going to take longer to come back. And when he does come back, he's going to be hesitant. He's going to be looking for the head kick knockout. He's going to like really try to consciously not dip his head to the right and drop his hands the way that he always has a bad habit of doing. But in overthinking those things, he'll create new holes in his game. And the second those new holes are visible or made visible, somebody like Leon is going to kill him. Somebody like Bilal is going to kill him. And realistically, I don't even think it makes it to that. I think Kamaru's hand is injured. I think Jorge Masvidal steps up and fights Leon Edwards, gets pelted. Leon kills him. And then after my boy Islam Makhachev ends up winning his fight against Alexander Volkanovski, I think he goes up in weight. He beats Leon Edwards. And Kamaru knows better. He doesn't want any part of that fight. His grappling is not going to touch Islam's. I promise you. I would bet I'd bet a fortune on that, bro. That's just facts. So I think if you're right and Kamaru comes back and seeks revenge, absolutely. He will. If he beats Leon Edwards, he will sit atop the throne until somebody like an Islam Makhachev comes up in weight or Khamzat actually gets the shot.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you think a guy like Khamzat can? I mean, even against Leon Edwards, do you think a guy like Khamzat could potentially go in there and just?
Khamzat's a bad matchup for Leon Edwards, but I don't think he beats Leon for the simple fact that Leon has a very, very high fight IQ, and Khamzat he's won these fights with very, very quick, unrelenting pressure, and we've seen it catch people off guard. What happens when he rushes in like that? And now that we've seen it a handful of times, Leon Edwards is prepared for it and just catches him with a high as he's rushing in. And then if he eats a high knee as he's rushing in for an unrelenting power double leg, shooting across the whole fucking cage, how willing is he to continue to do that more after eating that knee? Because we've seen him kind of work his way into a double or a single, and then from there, just chain wrestle. There's not a whole lot you can do when someone's chain wrestling you. You can't really generate a ton of power to hurt them back. So I think that's the case. And then, we'll go ahead and do these next ones real quick just because I am running out of time here.
You're all good.
So in the next division, we have the next two craziest divisions in the whole UFC here. We have Alex Pereira. I mean, he came in here and he beat his nemesis. He took the belt. I'm going to say, just because my heart of hearts is telling me this, I think Israel Adesanya comes back, gets the belt back, and ends up sitting atop that throne by the end of the year. I think he was winning the fight up until he lost the fight. And I mean, that's age old, tale as old as time, but that's the case. I think Israel Adesanya is the better fighter. If this division was a game of rock, paper, scissors, rock would be Alex Pereira, paper would be Robert Whittaker, and scissors would be Israel Adesanya. Because Izzy beats Rob 10 out of 10 times. Rob beats Alex 10 out of 10 times. And Alex, I mean, it looks like he beats Izzy 10 out of 10 times, but I'm just going to go against my own form of logic here and say that I don't think it happens the next time they fight. I'd like to think that this loss springboards Izzy into the best version of himself we've ever seen.
I could see that as well, man. I think, it's kind of hard because it's almost like what you and Average was saying about Kamaru. Can he come back from this knockout, this devastating knockout that he had against Alex to be able to?
But the difference is he wasn't knocked. Izzy, in his mind, was still remaining lucid, and he was moving. And I agree. I think he was still moving. He was wobbled for sure. But I mean, if the same Mark Goddard that let him and Kelvin go to a fucking war for 25 minutes was reffing that fight, he would have let them continue.
He let them continue,
and that would have we wouldn't be seeing this guy up here. We'd be seeing this guy.
And
so
that's the crazy thing, man. Is like what we were talking about. It's game of inches, man. Game of seconds. Like all it takes is that 1 second to be. But I can see it being Israel, like you said, rock paper scissors between those three. It could go either way. I think it's going to be Israel. I'm a bigger fan of understanding the type of fights he's been in. But Alex Pereira is just that one scary guy too, man. He just came out of nowhere. It just seems like he's been able to dominate, at a solid level. So it who knows? But like you said, Robert Whittaker, we said that prior to this podcast as well. I mean, if Robert's on top of his game, bro, he could dominate.
There's not a lot of people that can
dominate a lot of people. Yeah, he could dominate a lot of people. So I say Israel as well. I think we agree with that. I think by 23 in, let's go Israel. This last one,
light heavyweight. My God, there's not even a picture here. That's a fucking problem.
This is, we're gonna hold this picture to the side. Just
placeholder. So we have Jiri Prochaska, Glover Teixeira, Magomed Ankalaev, who should be the belt holder. I mean, he won that fight against Jan Blachowicz.
100%. 100%.
And then we have, underneath that, like it's a real who's who of names. But as far as names that we think are going to be contenders, I mean, good names, but. Yeah. I don't think they'll be belt holders. I love Anthony Smith. Don't think he wins the belt. I love Alexander the Rocket Rakic. I don't think he wins the belt. Jamal Hill, maybe. But even if he wins the belt from a Glover Teixeira, does he beat Yuri? when Yuri comes back? I mean, probably not. Nikita Krylov, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, there's just so many names that it's like, when you look at them on paper, it's like, oh, that's a good fucking fighter. But then you compare them to a Yuri or even a Glover or a Magomed, and you're like, Ankalaev kills him. Teixeira probably kills him 8 out of 10 times. And Prochaska, I mean, he can lose fucking 24 minutes and 59 seconds of the fight and still knock most of these guys out. So, I mean, he has the nuclear option, right? Like, we saw it happen in a few of his fights. And then even when that doesn't work, he'll somehow make you make a mistake and submit you, which is how you should have beat him. We saw it happen against Glover. That being said, I think, just because I'm a real Cinderella story kind of deal, I think Glover Teixeira wins this. I think they end up making things right. I think Glover beats Jamal Hill. I think Jamal Hill's being a little bit too cocky in this fight coming in. He ends up getting beat. And then Glover ends up fighting Yuri by the end of the year, probably November, December, for the belt. And no, to your point, Avenues 11, I don't think Yuri will be the same. I think coming back from a shoulder injury it's catastrophic. I've had a few shoulder injuries. Mine literally like still clicks when I roll it, like it's a piece of crap. And you feel it every time you throw a punch. And I'm talking like on bags and light sparring, things like that. I can't imagine Prochaska, 205-pound man, getting like eating head kicks with his arms, blocking with that shoulder that he just got operated on, that got ripped apart, absorbing these kicks and punches and damage and abuse. And I also can't imagine that he's going to have the same pop, power, and mentality when he comes back. So, I mean, that's going to take away a lot of his prime kind of keys to victory, in my opinion. And with that being said, I think either Glover Teixeira, simply due to the fact that he will get the nod over Magomed. I don't think Magomed gets the shot for the title again very soon, just because it was a boring fight against Jan Blachowicz to a lot of casuals, to a lot of like newcomers to the sport. So I don't think they'll be rushing to give him another title shot. As a result, Glover gets the nod, gets to actually fight for the belt by the end of the year, and as a result, he takes the belt.
I could see that. I could see that as well. I mean, I feel like, I think we kind of both agree on the two tight holds of it. I don't see Magomed. Unfortunately, I don't see Magomed or even Jan kind of going back to being a chance of being the champ. Because I feel like Glover is one of those guys that can literally just take you down and maul you down. So I feel like his type of style, it really is. It's take down and maul you until you either tap out or I get into a choke. I mean, he had a couple chances to get Yuri into one. Yuri got damn lucky at the end. I mean, very lucky. It's insane.
I think it was it a rear naked choke that he had him in at one point?
Yes, bro. He was done.
It was so close, dude.
Oh, he was done. And then I think he flips out of it and somehow manages to get up top. Don't know how shit like that happens, brother. Only
and then when Yuri like that, right? When Yuri was rocked, like Yuri was literally out on his feet almost, and then Glover's like, "I'm gonna jump a ghillie." What
for no
the
reason.
Fuck?
Yeah. That was it. That's when he should have won right there. But that situation is one of those things where it does stick with you as well. I feel like Glover's gonna be one of those where it's gonna take him going into the next fight and him fighting Yuri and just sticking to the game plan. So I could see it going either way, just like you said, man. I could see it either going with Yuri coming back, actually being who he was, like what Average Avenue said. I mean, if he's the same person, bro, I could see him dominating 100%. But I think in logic right now, in terms of who's really, really good and who's actually just been dominating, I think Glover is the guy that can control it. But we'll see how he does with Jamal Hill. I mean, dude, if he ends up losing to Jamal Hill, you never know. Everything kind of goes up in flames until Yuri comes back. But
absolutely, I completely agree. So we are going to do the heavyweight, and then we're going to cut off, and we'll save the 3 women's divisions for our next episode. So for heavyweight, I mean, again, this is one of those it's a pretty stacked division, and it's changed face quite a bit. Like, granted, Francis is still the champion. He's been out and inactive for a long time now, like a year, right? So
yeah,
we haven't seen him fight in some time. Cyril Gana was beating him in that fight, and honestly, now that Cyril Gana knows Francis Ngannou has wrestling, I think that's a crazy rematch. I think Cyril probably wins that rematch. Also, I think another curveball that people aren't talking about enough, somebody who else is also coming off of an injury, is Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
You already know. Tom Aspinall very well might be the future of the heavyweight division. Guy moves like a middleweight. He has fantastic grappling. I think the future of heavyweight is going to come down to Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane.
Wow, I like that. So you don't in throwing you kind of the oddball. You don't see John Jones kind of coming in there and being able to control.
I don't. I think John Jones. I don't think John Jones ever fights again. I truly don't. I think I've made jokes and said that like I think he's serving an undercover sentence for USADA. I think USADA popped him and Dana cut a deal with him and was like, hey, don't smear our star fighter's name through the mud any more than he already has. He'll serve his 3-year sentence for USADA. Just don't say anything. And then we'll put him back into the test pool and have him come back. Otherwise, why would he sit out in the prime of his career like this? And I think if I'm wrong, then it's even dumber because he literally sat out for 3 years of his fucking prime. And he could be just making big money moves. He could realistically, if he would have joined heavyweight 2.5 years ago when he was talking about it, he kills Francis at that point. If he comes in, he ends up killing Ciryl Gane at that point. He didn't have wrestling at that point. And Avenues 11, just fucking good lord, threw the best curveball in the world.
Great curveball.
Mr. Sergey Pavlovich. I don't know if any of the viewers have ever read a Captain America comic, but that guy literally looks like fucking Masterman, the German version of Captain America. I swear he looks like Masterman.
Bro, he is one of those guys when you see you're like, yep, that is an actual MMA fighter right there. That guy, whatever he is a fighter. You know he is a fighter. He looks cartoon like. It's actually nuts.
He really does. Like he looks he's so fucking fit for a heavyweight.
He's so strong, man.
And he's so strong.
So who do you, because he just beat Ty, didn't he?
Like this might very well get me kicked off of YouTube, but I just like, come on. Avenues 11, tell me I'm wrong here, just in case you haven't seen Masterman and Captain America comics here. Check this out. Look at this guy. This is Sergey Pavlovich.
That is.
It's literally Sergey Pavlovich. He's built just like him. That's what the guy's built like. And by the way, this guy, he's like 230, 240 pounds in the comics. So that's what Sergey, exactly. I mean, like, come on.
Jesus.
So again, it's Sergey Pavlovich in form and you know, giving Cap a run for his money in the comics.
I can see that. I could see that. I mean, I think, you know, bringing that into play, I think that's always an oddity, right? I think if Francis Ngannou comes back and he's as dominating as he's been, you know, I mean, it's kind of hard to see the way that he's fought and to see that he's lost if lost the rounds, any of his rounds. He has with Ciryl Gane, and that's the thing is Ciryl Gane is actually a pretty damn all around great fighter as well.
He is. Like, he's incredible.
I think he had that heel hook. Was it like a heel hook against? God, I'm trying to remember that name now, brother. He was a really great fighter as well. If you go down, if there's like more,
he had. Let's see.
It was.
He got a heel hook over. Over Dontel Miles.
Thank you.
Or Dontel Mays.
Thank you, Dontel.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Mays is a beast. I like
Lord
Mays
Kong.
well. Yeah. So like he has great all around game. So I mean, I think personally, if it was to go to the end, I think Ciryl Gane is the one that's kind of showed me a little bit more because he also stood up and banged against Tai Tuivasa, and Ty's one of those guys you don't want to stand up and fight against, and he made it look easy as well.
Absolutely.
With kicks, punches, kicks. I mean, he could have took him out earlier, you know. But at the same time, he does have one of those questionable chins as well, because I know Ty had a couple swings on it where it looked like Ciryl Gane was gonna fall. You know what I mean? Right? So
when he knocked him down and his butt skipped off the mat, that was incredible.
Brother. So I think situations like that, you never know, because if that happens, think about a guy like Francis Ngannou, who's probably going to come back looking like 280. I think right now he said he's almost 300 pounds. So Jesus. I don't know what his weight class he's going to come back to is, bro. He might come back at 270, 280. He might be.
He'd have to cut to 265 to even make the cutoff.
Fuck, it's 265.
Yeah, he can't. The actual cutoff is 266 because you get a 1 pound allotment over it, so it's 266.
You think he would logically fight at 280 and then drop 15 pounds for the fight and just gain it back?
Fuck, I don't think that's smart, dude. Like for a heavyweight, I feel like you should just fight natural.
Yeah, 260, right? Yeah,
like you should just be around like 260 between 245 and 265. I feel like is the golden area for heavyweights.
That's so nuts. 260 fucking 5, bro.
But like honestly, to what Avenues 11 was saying, like Sergey Pavlovich is a problem.
Yeah,
and he's also ranked number 3 now, so he might end up getting the nod. And if he fights somebody like a Ciryl Gane, he's not a great like style matchup for him. Like Ciryl Gane is a much better striker, but Sergey Pavlovich is one of those guys that literally will knock you out with one shot. So I agree with Avenues 11 100% on this one. I'm going to change mine, and I'm going to say Tom Aspinall takes some time to nurse and rehab, comes back, and sets himself up for a hell of a 2024. This one ends up being a matchup between Gane and Sergey for the number 1 contender spot. Whoever wins that probably beats Francis.
I like that. I like that.
Because I think if Sergey gets past Gane, there's nothing Francis has for him. And I think if Gane gets past Sergey and has learned wrestling along the way, I don't think there's anything Francis can do to him in a rematch.
No. Yeah. I like that, man. I like that because I agree with you, man. I think Cyril's up there, and then I think Sergey has that chance as well. But we'll see. I'm a fan of Ciryl Gane right now, but brother, hey, it was a damn good cast, man. Hey, before we go, there's one more thing I did want to say. We had to give that rest in peace to that girl Victoria Lee that just passed away.
Oh, dude, Victoria Lee.
I'm sorry.
Rest in peace to Victoria Lee. 18 years old, won championship champion. Her sister's a champion for one. Still waiting to find out exactly what the details are. Yeah. It has been a hell of a year for mixed martial arts. We'll go ahead and do a quick rest in peace for a few folks. We'll do rest in peace to Stephan Bonner. Thoughts and prayers to your family. Without him and Forrest Griffin fighting for that finale and The Ultimate Fighter, I don't think the UFC would be halfway as far as it is along today. And Rumble Johnson, rest in peace. Elias Theodoro, right before the year ended, rest in peace. Yeah, man. And anybody we're missing, obviously, everybody that's a part of this sport, it's a tough time of year in general, and all of these kind of recent down, like just bad news that we've had back to back since the new year started hasn't made it any easier. So thoughts and prayers go out to anybody that's struggling. And if you're doing well, thoughts and prayers to you too. I hope it keeps on going forward for you.
100%. And to the ones that are struggling, just always know there is a golden day out there, and make sure you're connecting with anyone. I mean, we have our tags up here. If you guys ever want to connect with anyone, you can always connect.
Please shoot us a message.
Yes. So appreciate it again. No, like you said, man. Appreciate it again, and rest in peace to the great ones from last year, and as well as Victoria. So thank you again. Amazing.
Absolutely,
podcast,
T. Thank you, dude. It's been a pleasure getting to chat with you about these fights coming up. Hopefully, we will jump on here again after the fights next week. We'll jump on Sunday morning again, and we'll kind of break down what happened in those fights that we went over, see how right or wrong we were. And either way, no matter who wins or loses, we'll probably jot down who we think should be next for those folks. So thanks, Tien, Crude Analysis. Hopefully we'll get the second half of Crude Analysis on here for the next one too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And you guys make sure you follow them. We got @FancyTien on Instagram, @Crude Analysis on Twitter. And then the other half of Crude Analysis, of course, is @Mildish_Gambino on Twitter. Honestly, one of my favorite usernames. That Mildish Gambino gets me every time. So again, thanks for joining. Loved having you on. Can't wait to have you on again.
Thank you.
And as always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications, folks. And again, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.